Ross Merriam on the left, Jonathan Sukenik on the right. Yeah, we do look at the control mirrors. It's interesting. Jeskai control is actually generally favored against a deck like blue-white control. But in this matchup, it's going to be tougher. So it's the burn cards that matter, and Ross actually plays more burn than Sukenik.
Lightning Helix can tip things the other direction.
That's true. Sukenik with 3 copies.
How many spell you got? Ross on 2 spell snares. Love it.
Yeah.
It's just
4 remand.
Both of these cards are quite good against Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah.
Plays a lot in the blue mirrors.
1 Keranos. What I'm interested in is whether or not Teferi has tipped this matchup at all. If Jonathan can stick one, it's huge.
Yeah, that's frequently the way things play out in these blue, slower control mirrors. There's high mana cost permanents that close the game if they resolve. The issue is making that happen through all these cryptic commands, remands, logic knot.
See, the thing is that what Ross doesn't have going for him is because Blue Moon is it's like this real jerk Blood Moon deck. He doesn't get to play as Kanta. Okay.
True.
Because he's taking...
he could spell snare one.
He's taking the coward's way and playing Blood Moon. He doesn't get to have nice things like Search.
I like the strategy of wearing a button-down shirt and playing a Blood Moon deck. No one would expect you to do something so unrefined.
Yeah, you should be wearing like your favorite white tee from high school.
Like an AC/DC t-shirt with a ketchup stain on it.
Yeah. Maybe you tried to get the stain out in the wash and you did like an 80% job.
There's bleach stains on it from when you obviously tried to clean it.
There you go. when you play that guy in the 3-0 bracket that he's about to Blood Moon you. Like, I know how you got here. Seer Vision's traded off by both players. These early turns aren't going to do much. No one has any spells to cast.
Yeah, Sukenik did start on Basic Island. There's a Scalding Tarnier. We'll see if he leaves it up. Looks like another Basic Island already in the hand, so he's pretty well set up against Blood Moon.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tell, so you could say that Ross is playing Storm except for that Flooded Strand. That's going to be a key that it's not. Ross, no combo finish in the Blue Moon deck. A lot of times you'll see something like Through the Breach. Just control.
Yeah, those combos they don't perform super well. There's a lot of awkward draw steps with those decks. Drawing the second Emrakul is just the most frustrating thing that could possibly happen.
You gotta play Sea Beyond. Shuffle it back in. It's not a great card.
And it's tough, too, because you can't really play Faithless Looting because you need to hit your 100th land drop.
Well, also, Emrakul would make you shuffle it back in and your Snapcasters would turn off.
Yeah, it's not great.
Serum Vision's double to both to the bottom of the deck for Sukenik.
And fetched for Basic Island.
So he knows what's up on that level. Makes Sulfur Falls here. Opt from Ross. See if he wants to go for a Blood Moon into open mana. Third Teferi, I believe. Is that 3 for Jonathan? It's at least 2.
Well, there's only 2 in the deck, so I really hope...
Okay, it's 2 then.
I really hope there's not a third in the hand. I believe in Electrolyze as the card that's mixed in the middle.
I think on Jonathan's side, not even going to represent Cryptic Command, tap Hallowed Fountain. It's really nice that a lot of times these blue mirrors do come down to burn spells.
Yes. Also on 4 mana, especially if you just have a 2-mana counterspell, there's nothing you need to Cryptic.
Snapcaster Opt from Ross.
This has been a pretty nice upgrade to the modern blue decks, just the ability to flash and Snapcaster for value on end steps. Try to force some action, see what Sukenik's actually up to.
1-1 off Electrolyze from Sukenik. He'll draw.
I think it's time for a Blood Moon.
Does he have one? You know, they always have it.
Why would they not have it?
I've never seen them not have a Blood Moon in their hand. See? Blood Moon. They always have one in their hand. They play 4 Ops, 3 Serum Visions, and probably 7 Blood Moons. Here's Teferi from Jonathan. And I love how he actually set up this whole exchange, Ryan. Because, you know, like you said, and this, you mentioned it, this is going to cause Blood Moon. And that's exactly what Sukenik wanted. He had the basic island planes in his hand. This was a great setup.
Yeah, he shaped it up so it looked like he was vulnerable to the Blood Moon, and that's just not true. And also resolving Teferi, if it becomes a problem at some point, he can just get rid of the Blood Moon.
This was really well played.
Yeah, really excellent navigation by Sukenik so far.
Untaps 2, blue and red, so no logic not up. Remember, Blood Moon is still in play. Now the question is whether or not Ross has 2 bolt effects, if he can shoot down that Teferi before Jonathan untaps with it.
Well, that's definitely off the table because the 5th land's just the 4th basic island.
Pass back. Ross does have Cryptic Command. He might try to fight on end step over this Teferi.
Yeah, you can't just let Sukenik hang out and draw extra cards every turn.
Right.
Especially in the red version of these mirrors, where if you get too many cards, you just start throwing burn spells upstairs, and that closes the game quicker than you often think it will.
Jonathan draws Electrolyze off using Teferi. There's his next basic island. That was his 3rd one, so big draw here from Sukenik. He's got all his basics in play. And he'll make Search for Azcanta. Now remember, if that transforms, it's only going to transform into a mountain. It's not hugely important.
Scry 1 every turn is a reasonable effect.
So you think he probably just doesn't transform it here?
Yeah. Yeah, spend some time, filter your draw steps a little bit. If you need the mana, you can transform it. And also, if you want to get Azcanta online, just use the Teferi to tuck the Blood Moon away. What I imagine you might see here is Sukenik will wait until the Teferi gets up to 7 counters, and if you really care about it or think something could happen to the Teferi, you -3 and then leave it to survive 1 Lightning Bolt. Or you just keep plussing the Teferi, you get up to the emblem, and you probably just win the game on the spot. And it looks like Sukenik is heavy on burn spells, light if he even has any counter spells.
Okay.
And if there's no counter spells to unlock, then getting rid of the Blood Moon doesn't really do too much.
Search for Azcanta puts another copy of Search into the graveyard. Jonathan draws Cryptic Command, then uses Teferi to draw Serum Visions. Remember, -8 is the emblem number for the Teferi. So Ross will be forced to fight eventually here.
Sukenik up to about 100 cards in hand.
Yeah, Teferi's great like that. You actually just start having to discard to hand size.
You start lava spiking your opponent.
That's why I start, that's why I don't understand this deck in Modern. And then you say loud spike your opponent. I was like, what? Why would I do? It can. What if they draw a creature? I need this. Why do I care about their life total? You know, when I play blue-white in Standard, I only use half the life pad.
Cool sequencing thing happening here. Sukenik's going to the end step to untap these lands with Teferi. With that trigger on, he's floating 2 red mana and trying to pass the turn, so we'll have this extra mana while Ross fights with his Cryptic Command in the end step.
That's really neat. Okay. Ross is going to try to fight bounce draw. That's what we're going for. And see what Jonathan wants to do on the way back to fight. He actually doesn't have too much permission. He's going to try to draw into something with Electrolyze. Ross to 13. And even if he loses the fight on this Teferi, that's not the prize at the end for Sukenik. You know, burn spells are how we end the game. So Teferi's gotten him extra cards. You see the Teferi actually just goes back into Jonathan's hand. And also of note, 8 cards. It looks like they're in hand for Jonathan. He's gonna have to discard to hand size, and Path to Exile. That can go hang out somewhere else.
Pretty easy one to let go of.
But as you said, still with that Teferi trigger, Jonathan untaps 2. He's got Cryptic up on his own side. Ross, 7th land, passes back. Cryptic on Jonathan's side. Bounce draw on Blood Moon. He's going to try to fight over a permanent. And Ross has some easy answers. He might just remand here. See if he wants to do more.
Both players with, I think Ross down to 6 cards now, but Sukenik obviously on 7. So he just discarded last turn.
Right. Looks like Ross, Vendilion Click. This is in response. He'll target Jonathan. Teferi, land, Serum Visions, 2 bolts.
Ross probably a little unhappy to see that second copy of Teferi. The plan likely was to Cryptic Bounce it and get rid of it.
Well, I mean, John, if he can keep it away with remands for a while. There are at least 2 remands in Ross's hand, so I don't know that he cares.
It is also true if you leave Sukenik with both Teferis, that's just another card in hand that you can't leverage in any kind of counter war.
Yeah. Ross has a Keranos in his hand, and I think what he's trying to do, remember, we're still on Jonathan's end step, is win. He's down 5 in the race, but if he can land this Vendilion Click, this is all about trading until he gets to that Keranos. You see, Ross actually lets Blood Moon get bounced. Doesn't want to fight any harder, says go. Lets Jonathan keep the whole hand.
You can't really just freely let Teferi come down.
As Kanta will mill over Supreme Verdict. It's going to transform.
Sukenik given a think whether or not he wants to actually transform it. It is a May.
Just because he knows the Blood Moon's about to happen again?
Yep.
Yeah, he'd get 1 activation, but...
The extra mana can be meaningful, but Ross knows that Sukenik's hand is what it is. Serum Visions, Lightning Bolts, Teferis.
Yeah. Red mana is basically colorless here. It looks like he will transform. And then draws. Not sure what he hits. We'll keep an eye on it. Serum Visions for Sukenik, using 1 of his blue. Draw Snapcaster Mage, not bad. Path to Exile and something else in the scry. I don't think he wants Path here.
Yeah, I believe Lightning Helix is the other one. He's starting to get to the threshold.
Yeah, I like Helix.
Yeah, you'll start to accept any burn spell. Though Ross is set up more likely with a better hand for counter wars. You see, Sukenik's holdings aren't good at all for that.
Which makes me think that if I'm in Sukenik's spot, I just want to start playing for burn. He's got 9 in hand now. I guess if Ross were at 12, this would be much more inviting. 13 seems more difficult. We'll see. My question here is whether or not Jonathan wants to try for a Teferi or just pass, and I love this play of just passing.
Yes.
Just use the until Ross does something about it, use the Azcanta to find burn, throw burn.
As much as possible, you want to be casting spells just on your opponent's turn.
Yeah, well, instead of going for Teferi for card drop, because the cards Jonathan's looking for are just burn spells, yeah. Ross goes for Blood Moon. Here's Azcanta. Helix. Looks like Cryptic's in there. I wonder if he wants... It's Helix, Serum Visions, and Cryptic Command. It's a big statement here if he doesn't take the Cryptic.
You can pretty confidently bet that if you cast Cryptic here, you're going to lose the counter war. You can force the action, though, and that lets you do things on your turn.
End step, he'll try to Cryptic bounce the Blood Moon. Ross will remand that.
Yeah, remand is Blood Moon.
Oh, this is to counter the Blood Moon.
Yes.
Okay.
So the Cryptic was countering Blood Moon. Ross remanded his Blood Moon, which counters the Cryptic command because it only has 1 target. Ross draws a card, still has the Blood Moon.
Yeah, but overall, this still feels like a win for Sukenik. He's going to get a second Azcanta activation as his prize, and that's great here. And I like Jonathan on his side. He hasn't removed Vendilion Click yet, despite all these lightning bolts. Shows some real priority for that burn plan. Mm-hmm. We'll see how long he's willing to stick to it. And at this point, I think he's going to say, while Ross is tapped down, he'll use a lightning bolt to remove Vendilion Click. Ross has a remand still up, 2 mana.
And in particular, when you're activating that Azcanta, you take the Cryptic command over the Lightning Helix. Ross is pretty far out of getting burned. Just generating some value is how you're going to keep pace in the game in the mid-game.
Love how Jonathan's passing yet again with that Azcanta. Not going for Teferi. Saying this is fine. Let's keep going.
Yeah, you can tap 5 mana at sorcery speed to draw 1 card if it works, or you have a guaranteed look at 4 cards for 4 mana.
Yeah, I mean, the advantage would be if Teferi can somehow stick around. It's, of course, a better play.
Yes.
But that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, the investment is high. There's risks involved. You can get punished in a pretty serious way.
Here's Blood Moon again from Ross. As Kanta from Jonathan. Logic Knot, Secure the Wastes. Now there's Secure the Wastes has some appeal to it. But when Ross knows about it, I like it less. If Jonathan takes Logic Knot, Ross has another remand at the ready to continue that play from last turn. And Jonathan takes Secure the Wastes. I do like this.
It's an instant speed way to force action.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of what the play patterns of this matchup are about.
I think Jonathan, if you're in Jonathan's spot, do you want to try to fire it off for 3 right now, or do you just need to be bigger?
3 is maybe a little bit light, especially when you have this mana tapped currently, where you can't really fight over it.
Snapcaster attempted by Jonathan, but Ross, I know you'll love this. He has a Spell Snare at the ready.
That's just good deck building. It's so good in the blue mirrors. I mean, the blue mirrors aren't very popular right now. I suppose there's a good amount of Jeskai in the field, actually. Spell Snare is going to pay the biggest dividends in matchups like this.
Sukenik draws a Lightning Bolt. Ross is at 12. Look at the count here. He's got 6, or I believe 9 points of burn in hand. So Jonathan's most of the way there. He says go. Ross got to be careful. He can't tap that mana on end step, or he's going to get Secure the Wastes. Wasted. Secure the... There are going to be a lot of 1/1s.
Secured the wastes.
So, or the wastes will be secured. Jonathan will assemble a soldier army. Another land here for Ross Merriam. Remember, his plan still revolves around trying to set up this Keranos.
Merriam at 12 now.
You got to be careful, yeah.
Pretty clean number for Sukenik to start chopping away. And Sukenik at 15, that's a much taller order for Merriam to chop through.
I want to go for the Secure the Wastes if I'm in Sukenik's spot. Seeing if he'll do that.
Yeah, not sure what the other holdings are. We know about the 2 Teferis and the Lightning Bolt. You want to have something else to do with your mana, either at the end step and or on your main phase if you're going to force action with Secure.
And now that he's seen some spell snares from Ross, he's got to be concerned that that Lightning Helix isn't good enough as a burn spell.
Yes.
Looks like 6 or 5 is what Jonathan's going to try for on Secure. He goes for 6. Now in telegraphs, he's got a second burn spell. Are we going to make it 7? Secure the Wastes for 7 from Jonathan. From Ross, Snapcaster. And Cryptic Command. Counter draw. Easy enough. Just 3 mana still up for Ross. A draw from Jonathan. No click from Ross. Lets it happen. 2 mana. Looks like it's going to be Teferi. It is. Does Ross have another remand? He does. Can Jonathan counter back? Well, not with Cryptic. He doesn't have enough blue mana in his deck to do that.
Yep, and it's just the 1 basic plane, so we can't recast the Teferi on this turn. We're under a Blood Moon.
Snapcaster range from Jonathan. This is going to be his prize. What spell does he sneak out? Electrolyze, 1 and 1. Not the worst. Ross down to 11. Jonathan will draw. He would have loved to have gotten that Teferi to resolve. Was not able to have that. But now we go back to Ross, and he'll bolt the Snapcaster. He gets to untap into an empty board, and I think it's time for Keranos.
Be a really nice one.
Jonathan been trying really hard to stick his own 5-mana card, but because Ross is the one with the remands, it is Ross that gets his 5-mana card first. It's his copy of Keranos, God of Storms.
And Ross has that remand to back this up, too.
He has the last remand?
Yep.
That's going to be hard because of Blood Moon, only 1 white mana. Jonathan, he has 10 mana, but he cannot recast Teferi. And he can't protect it with Cryptic. Not enough blue for that. Blood Moon just doing it all.
It's a powerful Magic card.
Why would you play anything else?
Have you played much with Blood Moon?
No. It's bad in most of my decks. I have lost to it a lot. Here's Teferi. Another remand from Ross. And now Jonathan quite far behind in the race. I guess he's up 4, 15 to 11, but that's going to go away quickly. And it looks like he actually has a response to the remand. Is this Logic Knot?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, that's the spell he was representing previously when he cast a Secure for 7.
Here's Logic Knot. Ross with 3 up, so Jonathan will have to delve 4. No problem. He'll do just that. Does it work? Counter remand is countered. Does Teferi resolve? This is a big moment. It does. So back to work we will go. And we don't really have to worry about Ross establishing devotion here, do we?
It's unlikely. It's possible.
He needs 7 symbols.
Yeah, he's at 3 already.
Vendilion Click and 2 more Blood Moons. We're looking at something like that.
Mages.
Yeah. And Jonathan's actually going to, instead of drawing a card, the first thing he has to do is he'll tuck away Blood Moon. And note that he didn't tap this whole turn. He didn't tap Azcanta. This does mean that Teferi might be shot down by the Keranos.
He has the backup Teferi.
Yeah, this is the bait spell. Or the test Teferi. Vendilion Click, end step from Ross. We know there's a Lightning Bolt in Sukenik's hand. But it means the backup Teferi might not be around. And Sukenik says, that's fine. He has Verdict, Bolt, Bolt, Teferi. Ross immediately gets rid of the Teferi.
Definitely the best card in the hand by a lot.
Now the moment. Will Keranos be able to shoot down Teferi?
Yeah, that click's certainly not going to be able to get it done. I believe Sukenik picked up Pat to Exile. Yep, going right for the click.
So land and Ross draws it, but it's a spell. Let's shoot down Teferi. Ross hits, and hit with Serum Vision's not too bad. He'll draw. But Ross he's running on empty here. He just has a land and the spell that the card that Serum Visions drew for him. Top bottom means that the next card will help him out, and he may need that help. There's a Azcanta online for Sukenik. And despite the fact that Ross took care of both Teferis, I guess it's going to be a race now of Keranos versus Azcanta to see which one wins. And that's close.
You can theoretically miss on Azcanta, whereas Keranos never misses.
Yeah, I mean, eventually if we get into the real late game, Sukenik's deck can run out of reasonable things to Azcanta into.
As far as hands currently, Ross's hand is actually more live as he picked up a Cryptic command to Sukenik's hand of Lightning Bolts and Supreme Verdict.
Yeah. He's going to Cryptic. Okay, bounce. Bounce draw. Bounce will be on the Azcanta. But before it goes away, Sukenik will put another Lightning Helix into his hand. That's now 9 points of burn. Ross at 11.
Getting really close.
And Ross, Blood Moon is the play. He drew the Blood Moon off the Cryptic.
Well, we knew it was there.
Oh, right. It was tucked from the Teferi. Okay.
Yep. Let's not make this anything it's not. Yeah, you got to do some scrying with Serum Visions before we got to this point.
Okay, yeah, the Serum Visions got him down to the same Blood Moon. Okay.
Yep.
How lucky.
Yeah.
That he top decked a Blood Moon.
I put this card third from the top, and then would you believe
3 cards
that
later,
my opponent got 3 cards deep?
And he'll just pass. So now Keranos finds the one of Spreading Seas and shoots Jonathan.
Turn that Plains off.
That's pretty big, actually.
Got to cast that Lightning Helix now or fight over this.
Yeah, I would recommend casting Helix.
It's like it might be Cryptic Command.
Cryptic.
I believe the play is Bounce My Plains. It is.
Oh, okay. This is to protect his planes?
Yes.
Yeah, Lightning Helixes Ross down to 8. So now when he has another, he doesn't have to worry about more copies of Spreading Seas. Jonathan moving fast like he might have a win getting set up.
And just from what we know about, he's certainly very close.
Yeah. Search for Escanta will be the play.
That gets him some more looks to find that third burn spell.
Not too many left, however. The only burn spells in Sukenik's deck are 3 Lightning Bolts, 2 Electrolyze, and 3 Lightning Helix. There's only 8, and he's gone through a hefty chunk of them.
And 4 Snapcaster Mage.
That's true.
We've been through some of that.
But certainly not all of them. And Ross will make a second Blood Moon just in case. Jonathan, there we go. There's a Snapcaster Mage. Don't mind if I do. So at that point, Jonathan does have enough burn to attempt to close.
Yes. And the Snapcaster Mage also just attacks. It's pretty big free roll to cast that on Ross's end step.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on Ross to have another Spell Snare here.
Yes.
If he doesn't, Sukenik's going to get this one.
And we are over halfway through the round.
Yeah, this is one. I expect in this matchup, this is the pace that all the games are going to go at. The idea that, Ross could win a quick game 2, I'm not sure these guys have quick game 2s.
No, one player has to stumble pretty significantly for these games to go short.
You got to cheese a Blood Moon. There we go. That would do it. Snapcast. Jonathan, Snapcast, Electrolyze. Ross is just going to pick up the cards. So after 30 minutes, 1 game's in the books, and that game goes to Jonathan Sukenik with that Jeskai control. He gets game 1. Now, the players are going to dig in even deeper in this control mirror when they go to the sideboards. We'll walk you through the steps that they're going to take when we come back. Welcome back here. Players looking over their sideboards. So I'm going to go through quick. Let's look at Ross Merriam's side. Did lose game 1. He's got 2 Relic of Progenitus, 2 Dispel. Dispel is a slam dunk. Everything in this deck's instant. 2 Thing in the Ice, a Braids, Roasts, a Ceremonious Rejection, and a Gate, an Anger of the Gods, and is a Staticaster, and an Engineered Explosives.
2 Dispels, like you said, those are the slam dunks, and a Gate, very similar. Also counters Planeswalkers. Those are all coming in for sure. It's an argument for Thing in the Ice. You can expect the Sukenik's off-path to exile in the sideboarded games, and 4 Toughness is the magic spot where you can't get lightning bolted. That can do some serious damage. And the Relic of Progenitus are actually fine in the matchup. There's a few graveyard things, Snapcaster Mage, Search for Escanta. You can leverage that fairly effectively, and when it's bad, you just get to draw a card off of it.
Yeah, of note, there's no, I guess, maybe those Thing in the Ices, I would bet with 20 minutes in the round and Ross needing to win twice, he's almost forced to board in Thing in the Ice.
Yeah, that's about the only way to do it.
Yeah, otherwise he's counting on your 1 of Keranos to win 2 games in 20 minutes. I don't really like that.
Yeah.
Jonathan Sukenik on Jeskai, he's got 2 Dispels of his own. I like those. More Vendilion clicks. He's got 2 Celestial Purge. That takes care of Blood Moon. He's got some Negate, an Elspeth, Explosives, Anger, Wear, Tear, Disdainful Stroke. Any of those you like?
There's a Flash Freeze as well. It counters Blood Moon and Keranos.
Oh, yeah, it does.
It's a little narrow, but I think it's fine. Wear Tear covers Blood Moon. That's pretty reasonable. The Dispels, again, are great. Vendilion Click makes a lot of sense in the matchup. Everything's happening at instant speed. Knowing the other player's hand allows you to manage the counterspell wars pretty effectively. I think that Elspeth's another card that's really good if it resolves, and it's possible because the Jeskai deck is so heavy on Planeswalkers that you have enough sorcery speed stuff that going a little heavier is not that big of a downside.
I'm worried about Elspeth for a couple reasons here, Ryan. Remember what we saw with Teferi last round? First of all, they really got remanded hard. But the thing I'm actually more worried about is there's only 1 basic Plains in Sukenik's list. So on top of being a 6-mana spell, being a double white spell, just like I feel like it's like between Blood Moon and Remand that I just can't rely on Elspeth here.
Yep, those are all very fair points.
But I do like what you said in the theory where if it somehow got on the board, A+.
Yeah. If the card costs 0 mana,
I'd play it.
It would be very good. You can probably apply that to quite a few Magic cards.
Well, that's why I see Black Lotus is good. We talk about, or we're going to have Vintage tomorrow. When you talk about when you remove mana costs from cards, they're good. So Shops is going to be a great example of that. You just take a card and you don't pay mana for it. Boom, it's really nice. Things you might have thought were unplayable, just really excellent.
That's just the worst segue I've ever heard in my life. I'm very happy that happened.
Lodestone Golem. You might not think it's a good Magic card, but when I don't pay mana for it, it's really good.
Yeah, it's quite a bit better on turn 1 of the game.
Yeah. Traxos, great when it costs nothing.
Yes.
Landross quickly traded. Sukenik took a mulligan here.
Looks like Celestial Purge, maybe even 2 in the holdings.
Okay.
Not shy on answers to Blood Moon.
He's going to go for Search for Escanto. Ross got an answer. Now, no one around these parts, you don't get to find Escanta.
No.
Looks like he's going to remand it. Jonathan did get basics.
Smart.
Got to watch out. Whenever I play people who Blood Moon me, usually they like to Stone Rain my basics after they Blood Moon me. It's really cool.
Ross has that Spreading Seas.
Yeah, he's doing the same thing. Nice. It's really enjoyable.
It's just good gameplay.
Yeah, it's great.
I find the more game actions my opponent is able to commit, the less fun I am having.
Right.
I understand this approach.
Spreading Seas from Ross Merriam on, and this is a big win. He got to stick that Spreading Seas onto Jonathan's 1 basic Plains.
Yes.
That matters. Sukenik has Search for Escanta, but does he have a 3rd land?
Uh-oh.
No, he does not. Ross opts. Can he knock that search off the table? If he can keep Jonathan down heavily on lands.
If Ross has a Blood Moon here, those Celestial Purges are off just for the whole game.
Opt for Ross. I'm not sure how much strength he actually has, Ryan. Draws into another remand.
I think he has a strong hand. He doesn't have a Blood Moon, but he's full up on counter spells. He can't close. He needs to close the game quickly is the problem.
Right.
The clock is not on his side. This would be a great hand if he was up a game, but I think he's still in trouble the way things are shaping out.
Yeah.
That was a very good draw, though. Snapcaster Mage came off the top.
Sure. And John on that Search for Escanta, just going to keep putting lands on top of his deck and hanging out. What's Ross trying to maneuver toward now? He's got a mana advantage. How does he push it?
I think that the plan in the short term, either if Sukenik commits any kind of sorcery speed action, involves casting the Snapcaster Mage for remand. Likely you're going to see end-step Snapcaster for opt. Hope you're able to get some chip shots in with that, and then find some lightning bolts from there.
Okay. Vendilion Click from Jonathan. Looks like this is on Ross's end step. Easy enough for Ross. Here's a snap. Here's a straight-up cryptic counter draw. Jonathan gonna scry. Hey, it's land. Feel like he needs those.
Yes.
Bit of a downside. He's not gonna transform that Search for Escanta, but making sure he draws a land each turn is just too high priority right now.
Yeah, you could get a little greedy spin one and find. Actually, it was a
It was a logic knot, and then he drew a land off it. So, okay, great.
That worked out quite well.
Yeah, you had to think about it. Logic knot's actually a pretty good card right now, but I mean, land's a better card.
Yes. Yeah, the lands are just paramount. The window for logic knot gets a lot smaller as Ross makes more land drops.
Right, and Ross continues to stay +2 on mana. He's got a Keranos in hand now, if he can somehow force that through. Looks like we have 5 cards in the graveyard for Azcanta. And Ross is just going to jam. Here's Keranos.
He has Dispel back up.
I love it. Celestial Purge from Jonathan. Dispel from Ross. But remember, you said Jonathan might have had 2 purges. And I think he does, Ryan.
Pretty easy to fire those off.
Yeah, that is a Ross hitting the low end of variance right here. This is going to be a disaster. He's going to lose the Keranos anyway. Jonathan will untap and transform Azcanta this turn.
Yikes.
Ooh. That's going to undo the mana advantage. It's going to undo all of the work here for Ross.
In the last round, I referred to Jeskai as the medium cards deck, and
yeah,
I think Ross has proven me wrong. I think we found the real medium cards deck.
What about Keranos as medium? Is it that's 5 mana and like didn't win the game last game?
I think my 2 points against it are that it costs 5. 2, it's not to fairy.
It cost 5 last game and got overpowered by a land. It was like Azcanta versus Keranos for a couple turns, and Azcanta convincingly won.
The land cost 2. Okay. It wasn't just a land.
You're right. I really shouldn't misrepresent that's what happened. Steam Visions for Ross, both bottom. Jonathan did miss a land drop that turn. He stopped on 6.
And Ross is very far ahead on cards in hand. The issue is the more things go right for Jonathan, the harder it is for Ross to close, and he doesn't have this kind of time.
So I would think that Keranos, Jonathan could have gone Purge with it, but instead he used Purge Negate so he could keep a Purge in his hand. Veiling Purge over Negate, I'm a little surprised to see it on Jonathan's side. Not saying it's wrong.
It's easier to leverage Purge against a Blood Moon down the road,
okay,
which you likely will want to fight over because you have Azcanta and your Plains of the Spreading Seas.
Azcanta finds Lightning Bolt, and Jonathan shoots down the Snapcaster Mage with Lightning Bolt.
Actually, that's not true. Because the Plains of Spreading Seas, you would have to have white mana up that turn and fire off the Purge straight away.
Yeah, so it's functionally the same thing.
Yeah. So yeah, the Negate probably is the one you would have wanted to have held on to. Having the Negate in your graveyard makes it easier to leverage Snapcaster Mage. You have more windows where you can cast it.
Ross is just jamming. Here's Jace the Mind Sculptor. 2 Snapcasters in Jonathan's hand. And a Dispel. He's actually short on mana. What I wanted to see was Snap Negate. So you can go Snap Negate Dispel, but then he's out. Ross likely has that covered. I think both players know it. Jonathan still has to go for it. Snapcaster Mage from Sukenik. Does it pass a Spell Snare check first?
Ross plays a mere 2 Spell Snares.
Yeah. Doesn't play 4 like... He doesn't play it like he means it.
He doesn't want it bad enough.
Remand on the Negate out of the graveyard, and that's it. Sukenik passes back.
Yeah, and remember, when you're flashing back a spell, if it's remanded, it's just exiled.
Yeah, Remand is so good against Snapcaster Mage. Just hard counter, draw a card is that's nice.
Yeah, it is one of the better cards in these blue mirrors.
Yeah, for that, and also the big one is the remanding your own cards.
Yes.
It lets you push a mana advantage really in a brutal way.
Yes.
Ross brainstorms at the Jace as you go back over to Sukenik. He's got a Lightning Bolt. He'll shoot it at the Jace. And Ross, he'll defend it, I'm sure. There's only 1 red mana in play for Sukenik, actually. So, he has an Electrolyze plus Snap to follow up, but he actually can't cast it.
Yeah.
So bolts the Jace. We'll see. Ross is going to try to attempt to negate. We'll see with that 4 mana if Jonathan has a way to counter back. I believe he does. Yeah, Cryptic, counter draw. And he's got to do this here. Jace needs to leave. Jace down. He actually counter bounced his basic planes, not counter draw.
That'll make it so it's not hard to leverage that Celestial Purge if there's a Blood Moon later.
But what has happened is, look at the lands here. Ross has 8 in play to Jonathan's 5.
Sukenik's doing a good job of clawing into this game.
Yeah. Ross is running out of resources. Despite the fact the big thing is that he's up on lands, but Ross can't utilize it just yet.
Yeah, one thing about making your land drops is those are not cards in your hand.
Snapcaster Cryptic from Ross. He will bounce as Kanta, draw a card. It's kind of like Snapcasting a Serum Visions, but just doing it in a really big way. Because you have all this extra mana. Where Tear picked up for Sukenik.
That's the second time we've seen Cryptic bounce Search or Oriscanta the second rune. If we're making these plays a lot, I do not feel good about this matchup on Ross's side.
Yeah. You want to see like a Field of Ruin or something in there? Or, I don't know, some...
Field of Ruin's tough because you're a Blood Moon deck, but...
Yeah, you can play like one or you can play
one or two can squeeze in reasonably.
Jonathan going to make Excanta again. And Logic Knot from Merriam.
Yeah, actually, because the deck's heavy remand, light on Logic Knot, it's
Swing
probably
and trade.
not terribly difficult to leverage a field.
And Jonathan just has to pass 4 lands now to 9. Make that 10. But Ross's hand is just Spell Snare Remand.
Just?
That's like not great.
Yeah, the fact that he needs to win 2 games in 10 minutes makes it pretty bad.
What if Jonathan just starts hitting him with a Colonnade? What does your Spell Snare Remand do about my Celestial Colonnade? And Jonathan he's just hit 6 lands. It's happening next turn. Ross is going to opt. Okay, found something he likes. It's Blood Moon.
Okay, that helps. That helps a lot. The holding should make him able to force this one through,
No,
too.
how does he force it through? Because you cast the Blood Moon. Okay, you have to use all, yeah.
You block for it with your counter spells, you see.
But you can't Spell Snare. He goes tear, and you go remand it, and then they go tear. And you're like, oh, yep, that worked. Blood Moon on the stack. Jonathan, he doesn't even defend it. It doesn't work.
Oh yeah, that tear is a big upgrade to Sukenik.
He's got 4 blue, 4 white mana.
He's got Flash Freeze, so he has like mono answers to Blood Moon in his hand.
Yeah, Blood Moon's garbage, so Blood Moon's the worst. Okay, that does turn on Spell Snare, fair enough. All right, he's got to float some mana ahead of time. If he's just floating 1 with it on the stack, and now it resolves, so it means double remand will actually get him. Remand, he tear.
Yeah, he'll need to have something
Does
for
he have
this.
does he have a Snapcaster? That would do it. No.
He has 2
Remand.
red mana up right now because the Blood Moon's on the table. Or no, that's a white
No,
mana.
that's a Plains.
He still has the Purge, yeah.
Yeah, John.
This is covered.
Do it again. Tear again. Get rid of that Blood Moon. No one likes that card. And now here comes Colonnade. The finisher. Boo! Serum Visions, boo!
You don't even have to.
I mean, I know this is correct, but I wanted to see the Colonnade jump on in. Blue Moon, he can't even answer it. It's just good. Here's another Serum Visions from Sukenik. Picks up a Field of Ruin. That's nice. That'll turn into another basic for him in case somehow he loses a Blood Moon fight, which I don't know how that even happens from here.
Yeah, Ross is pretty well out now.
He's out of basic islands, actually, so that Field of Ruin's just gas. He's got all 7 of them in play.
Yeah, I don't think that Ross is really going to be missing his lands.
Oh, yeah, that's the 8th basic.
Yeah, it's the
It
basic
says
dungeon.
it's just Strip Mine. Yeah. Yeah, shoot down that duel. Take that, Ross. You don't have one. And he knows it. He knows it. He's not even searching. He's just shuffling.
He has to shuffle, which is the
I know,
best
yeah.
part.
Yeah.
He's got, and now he has to shuffle.
He knew. Yeah,
Great.
they're all here.
Great templating.
Scalding Tarn from Sukenik. Is it time? The finisher? No, not yet. Back to Ross. Draws Serum Visions. Casts. And Sukenik's sitting pretty on Snapcaster Mage, Celestial Purge, and Electrolyze.
You keep framing the Celestial Colonnade like it's a wrestling move, This
the finisher.
This is a deck you bring for a boxing match.
No one gets back up from the colonnade.
The Jeskai strategy.
No one kicks out of it.
Is eventually your opponent is too tired to keep fighting.
Jonathan picks up Logic Knot there.
Blocks some
Blood
punches
Moon
for
again.
a while. They'll get worn out.
Doing a rope-a-dope. We're only combat sports metaphors in this control matchup. It's going for the submission hold.
See if Sukenik can get to the ropes.
Yeah, he's got to break the hold if he can grab the ropes. 4 mana here with Blood Moon on. John's floating all his non-basic mana, and then he's like, all right, I'll purge the Blood Moon.
Ooh, Spell Snare.
Uh-oh. A big Logic Knot incoming. Big Logic Knot.
Yeah.
No, is it just getting Spell Snared? Snapcaster Mage. Oh, how about this? Let's do another purge on it. It's gone. Ross bolts away at Snapcaster Mage. But the time clock is ticking. This is still game 2. Or is it time? Is it time? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Flies on in there. There's the colonnade. Ross down to 6.
The finisher.
Most finishers don't require multiple applications. Normally, you just hit them with it once.
I suppose that's why they call it the finisher, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a really epic match, sometimes you got to do the finisher multiple times because your opponent is that tough. You know, no one gets out of the colonnade. We had to colonnade him 3 times, but he stayed down on the 3rd one. It'd be something like that. Ross goes down to 2.
Sukenik has a lethal Electrolyze in hand.
And Ross extends the hand. 4:30 left, finishing 2 games. A perfect 4-0 here. And, you know, a completion of our modern rounds, Jeskai